Step into the light where the wild ones roam, where the heart speaks loud, calling this place home. We break the rules, we paint the sky, ridiculously you. We were born to fly. Ooh, it's ridiculously you.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Julie May, and this is the Ridiculously You podcast. Today's guest is a living embodiment of conscious choice and a little bit of sacred disruption in a super intentional way. Michelle is a best-selling author, transformational energetic guide, and living proof that choosing your yes sometimes means letting go of everything else and letting that fall away. We're going to talk about her journey from healthcare exec to bolt dwelling soul navigator. She's left 2 marriages, her career, her home, not in collapse, but in actual conscious alignment, which I'm excited to talk about. So welcome, Michelle. Can you just
Hello.
give us a little snap? I gave us a little snapshot of that, but tell us what kind of led you to this work.
Well, boy, that's a big question. This work being what's now integrated in my life, I've had this intuitive sense my whole life. I've carried it in through my careers and choices, always having this like I need it to be meaningful, I could do things, I could excel in things, but if they didn't sort of carry the meaning at the end, it just kind of fell flat for me. So I've always engaged in where I have like the energy and excitement of something meaningful.
Yeah.
And beyond that, I would say I have gone down the path of spiritual self-discovery for a long time and integrated different learnings, like we all do, all the paths we're on. So, people like Don Miguel Ruiz, the Mayan Oracle and that whole culture, Lynn V. Andrews and all of her mystical stories. And then, Eckhart Tolle and other people today that are inspirational, Deepak Chopra. So there's a lot of people out there with a lot of information, a lot of knowledge. And I like to integrate all the pieces that sort of make sense to me. And that's why I now call what I do, which is a variety of things, but I call it you do your energy your way, because everybody's different. Everyone has a different sort of purpose and way they like things and experiences they've had. So I just meet people where they're at. It's non-judgmental. I honor all your gifts and talents and then figure out how can I assist you with whatever transformation that you're looking for at this point in your life.
Mm. So you come from more of a traditional healthcare background and you got it into, kind of more of the spiritual realm. Did you ever get any kickback from like coworkers or other people kind of in the more sciencey realm about what you were doing with that?
That's the few things that came to mind. It's such a good question. People would always come in back in the day when we had offices, which nobody really has anymore. But when I did have an office, people would come in and they'd just be like, this is so comfortable. Like, I don't know what it is. And then they'd start like looking around like, what is this? And what is that? So I just sort of let people be curious. And when they
Mm.
inquire, then I give them more information. If they're like, just like, what do you have for me today? I'd be like, oh, okay. Well, what would you like me to have for you today? So I sort of follow other people's lead. At the same time, I was married, my second marriage, he's also a therapist.
Mm.
And some therapists they learn specific methodologies and there's a way that they happen. There's an order to the events. There's evidence-based practices that you follow. And I would get some kickback from people that are more specific in how they do things. And that, I would just say, like, I get it. Like, it makes a lot of sense that you do things the way you do them. I'm a little more intuitive in the moment and I can pull from a lot of places. So I just let the moments unfold and I let it kind of come in based on who I'm engaged with. And we
Mm.
go from there. It's like we blend our energies and excitement and curiosity into a co-creative experience.
I love that. So I'm actually really curious about how these worlds blend together. Like, legally and stuff, if you are in there and you're like in a therapy session, are you allowed to bring in kind of these metaphysical, more spiritual things? Is that something that's like, I don't even know,
Yeah.
is that something allowed
Well,
in the
listen,
therapy field?
we're in 2025. Okay, but let me give you a backtrack like
Okay,
decades
go.
ago. So I'd be in sessions and I'd be sitting with someone and I would have a message. And I'm aware that I
Mhm.
have a message. It's not coming from me. It's not even about me. And the person sitting across from me, I would kind of gauge. Usually I would just say, I kind of have a message for you and you might be interested in it. You might just think it's ridiculous, to use your words.
Yeah,
So I'm just like, are you interested? Would you like me to share it? Because it's your choice. I always let people make choice. And most would be like, yeah, I'm very interested. And I'd be like, blah, whatever it is. And they just look at me like, how did you know that? And I go, and again, I don't know it. I just
exactly.
have a message for you. And if you want it, here it is. And it was so, that is not something that I went into my therapy notes and said, I heard a message during session and shared it. Like, that's not the point of documentation. So
Yeah.
I let it flow where there was comfort in the room for it.
Mm,
Generally speaking, if there wasn't, I probably wouldn't have a message,
that's true too.
generally
Yeah.
speaking. But today things have changed quite a bit. Some of what I do is not covered under my licensure. It's more coaching or intuitive guiding or facilitating. It's not in spaces where my licensure is the mechanism for payment or for practice. So I have to be aware, when am I falling under the jurisdiction and what I'm providing fits under my license?
Mm,
Therapy, medically necessary services, or anything that resembles the therapeutic process, that's therapy. But when I'm coaching, when I'm consulting, when I'm facilitating, those are separate. And some of that is around energy work and energetic and conscious transformation, whereas therapy might be more about people's symptoms and how they're impacting their life. But if they
mm,
are interested in consciousness as a part of their therapy, and I have that information, I'm not going to not share it with them, but I don't
right.
walk in the door with that information. So it's a walk, it's a balance, but I'm clear how the door gets opened, and then I align and follow where it's comfortable, aware of my licensure in the moment.
Mm,
So you have to kind of walk those lines. What I love about betterhelp.com, where I just started last Monday for another way to kind of get out there for people, is I'm aware of when my licensure is related to therapy and when I'm more in that coaching facilitation role. I've become even more clear about that, just so, I'm following the rule of my licensure in the state of Minnesota.
love
So you
that.
got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, for sure. So
Yeah. Does that make sense?
yeah, it totally makes sense. So you start out your path, you're a therapist, you're doing your thing, and you start like kind of getting into these more like metaphysical things and spiritual practices and all of that. How did that change your life personally? Like,
Oh,
what did you notice within personal realm that you're like, oh
yeah.
wow, okay, because
Yeah.
you had the regular knowledge from before you went to school, you got the license, you know, you knew some things before, but bringing that spiritual realm in, how did that change your life?
Yeah. The biggest learning I had overall was becoming more conscious of when I was being unconscious. The
Mm,
patterns that we just like fall into and we're not really even aware of it. We're just doing it because it's what we do or what our personality's like. Or I even found I would laugh sometimes. And so I would hear it and I'd go, that sounds exactly like my mom. Like that's my mom's laugh in me. Those vibrations are coming out of me and they have for years. So I found all kinds of weird things. It impacted my significant relationships with everyone I have significant relationships with. I'm a person who talks about what's going on with me where it's comfortable and received. So my friends all know what I'm into, what I'm going through. And where it didn't align with people that are like, that is weird and I'm not interested, I'm like, that's okay. Like, you don't have to be interested, and there's a lot of people to be friends with in the world. You're a super great person, and I wish you the best, but I'm probably going to chat with people who, appreciate my ridiculousness.
Right. Just
Right?
so
That's
our
where I'm
audience,
aligned.
yeah, so just so our audience is like on the same page with you, when you talk about the words conscious and unconscious, can you just describe what those words
Yeah.
mean to
Yeah, I'll try.
you?
So I've spent a long time. So unconsciousness for me, I'll give you an example, I think is the best way to describe it. So I might be having a conversation with my then husband, and he says something that triggers me to think something that triggers him to think something. And we're in this back and forth thing, and all of a sudden catch myself and go, wait a minute, what am I upset about again? Like, what is even happening here? And
Mm,
I'll just pause and step back and go, oh, like somebody walked in the room with the idea to hook me unconsciously. I'm going to hook her into conversation because I'm venting my own stuff. And I got hooked. And now we're in a hooky thing, right? And I would realize it and just back up and go, oh, I'm actually just going to be quiet now. This has nothing to do with me. This is about someone else walking in the door with another idea, energy, whatever, feeling, and kind of putting it out there, knowing that in the past, this is how I would behave. But I'm
mm,
not behaving. I'm consciously aware of what's happening, and I'm making a different choice to not engage. And that means you're going to make a different choice because you can't hook me. If you
mm.
can't hook me and I'm doing something different, you got to do something different. So it shifts me into I'm consciously aware of what's happening right now. And
Yes.
I'm not being hurtful. I'm just not engaging in your drama because it's unconscious. You're trying to hook me into a thing and I don't want to do the thing. So I'm not
Yeah.
doing it.
I kind of see it like if I'm in it, it's like the pattern of behavior is so automatic. It's like I react, I just do the things that's the pattern, and there's not a lot of conscious thinking involved, using that word again. And when I feel like, okay, I'm in a conscious moment, it's almost like a third person. It's like I can look from the outside, see what's happening in this little swirl and make a different choice. It's like you're
Yes.
not like in it. It's almost like, at least for me, this is what it feels like. I'm like over
Yeah.
here and I can look at myself and go, huh, that's the pattern that I'm experiencing right now. And I could choose to do something else because all of this is just react, react, trigger, trigger, react, react, react. And it's
Yeah.
not even my monkeys.
That's
Not my
right.
circus.
That's exactly correct. Yeah. And it's lovely because you can observe yourself and go, oh, huh. And you can observe others, and then holding all of that consciousness together, make a choice about the whole situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
And
it
so
led
you,
to then, right now on a day-to-day basis, I'm very aware. I'm conscious of how I set myself up in all my moments throughout my day. I
mm,
don't find myself in unconscious places all that much. I'm not never surprised, but I'm rarely surprised.
mm. That's pretty cool. And you've made some big changes, big choices based on living this conscious living. Can you take us back to some of those big choices? Because you've made a few big ones. Like anytime like a relationship that's like a marriage ends, that's a pretty big conscious choice. Uh
Yeah.
you do you live on a boat now? You
I'm
live
on the boat.
on a boat now. Tell us about some of like
Yeah.
those ways where you intuitively did something and made a conscious choice to move forward. Because I think a lot of people do a reactionary choice. They wait until something gets so bad that there's hardly any choices left, and it's got kind of like the universe shoving you off the cliff. And you kind of like looked
Yeah.
around at the different cliffs and went, you know what? My best option looks like this. I'm going to walk myself over to it and jump off right where I need to
Yeah.
be. You know,
Yeah.
tell us a little bit more
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, sure. In the process of becoming conscious within a marriage, I recognized the parts of our marriage that were not conscious, the ways in which we didn't align, the patterns we triggered in each other. I even paid attention to kind of my own family that I grew up in and how that impacted me and all my lineage, all the way back, all the various things in my world. And so when I started to let go of things that aren't mine and don't feel like me and let those go, it kind of opened the space for me to discover, like, who am I really? Like, what is my laugh sound like? Mine, not someone else's. In the process of doing that, I think that my husband and I kind of stepped further away from each other and got a little more distant. And it wasn't necessarily intentional, but we just didn't align in the same way that we used to align. And that spread out over a number of years. And I became conscious that, okay, this seems to be spreading out. So I literally had the conversation about, in order for us to reconnect, I think we need to reconnect on a more spiritual level, on a more
Mm,
conscious spiritual level for this to really work. And it just didn't align. And from a place of consciousness, I could say, there was a lot of pain. We both thought like this was it for the rest of our lives. And over time and having more conscious conversations about it and recognizing what doesn't align, I kind of held my ground. Like, if we're not going to do this all in consciously, then we're going to separate, but we're going to do that consciously. So
yes.
I shifted into, let's do a conscious divorce then, and not pick at each other and not fight with each other and not have two attorneys and make it a big thing. So I shifted my energies from conscious marriage to conscious divorce. And I
Mm,
held it even when I could tell, right? When someone else is having a big outburst and I'm like, I realize you're letting go in my head. And that's fine, but you don't get to lash out at me in our final moments of making these decisions. Like, we're done.
yeah.
Whatever happened has happened. Here's where we are now. Let's consciously do this well and not impact each other and everyone else around us in really, disruptive ways. So I did. We made the decision to separate. I made the decision to just stay right aboard my floating home, which I love. But I let my family home go, which I raised my son in, and I like completely updated. I mean, it was mine. And I'm like,
Wow.
I don't think it is anymore. So I love floating. Like, I'm immersed in nature. It is beautiful for me. So
Mm,
why wouldn't I live the dream life in my mind? Like, I imagine, what if I stayed all, through the summer? And so I do. I'm in my third year, just staying all summer, working from here, writing my book, doing podcasts, blah, 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 enjoying the conscious and intentional life of being me.
mm,
Yeah,
that's so great. So, if we have some listeners out there, and I'm sure we do, who are going, yeah, but I'm not ready to make like that big of a change yet, but I
right.
feel
Yeah.
like things are uncomfy. Like, they feel that tension, that friction, and they may not even know what that frictiony piece is. What kind of thoughts would you have for them? What's some first steps they can take to start like becoming more awake, becoming more conscious of a decision maker in their lives and just being more
Yeah.
aware of what to do next?
Yeah. In the work that I do with other people, what I find is most common is that people have somehow sort of lost in their everyday habits and routines and encountering then anxiety, depression, uncertainty, disruption, transition, all that. They like can't really hear their own voice anymore. Like, there's
Mm,
so much going on, they don't even know where to begin. I almost always start with asking about their self-care. Like, what do you do? Do you even take a break during the workday? How do you sleep? I mean, these are basics, even as a therapist, right? Let's
yep.
go through how you take care of yourself. But I pay attention to not just your physical health, but your spiritual health, your social health. Your Do you find moments to just be quiet, right? And take a breath
Yeah.
and just listen in, because
Hmm.
I find that people, when they do that, they take a breath and we get quiet and we notice presence and I'll say something to them and they'll go, oh, that reminds me. And I'm like, and they'll say something and I'll go, oh, well, what would you say in that moment to help someone else? And they'll give me this whole story. And I'm like, And halfway through, they're smiling because they're like, I don't even listen to myself. And I'm like, yes, there's so much in here that you can't get to when you're just in habits and noise, the
Mm,
noisiness of all day and distraction and disruption. You can't even hear yourself.
yeah.
So I lead people back to kind of, can you hear what you just said? Like, say it to me again. And they're just laughing, like, let me write that down. And I'm like, yep. So, that's the number one is how do I help people just listen to themselves again? And
Mm,
then from there, it's like, oh, there's your guidance that has been with you the whole time. And then it helps you kind of go, okay, here's what I'm clear about. Now, here's what I'd like to learn more about. How can I
mm.
A, B, or C? And then we work that in once I can like hear them and they can hear themselves too. Yeah.
Yeah, isn't it interesting how much like wisdom each of us has within us? But it's so easy when we're giving the wisdom to somebody else. When it's
Mhm.
like, and the fingers pointed back at me, all of a sudden they're like, I don't know, but that is the way. That is kind of how our brains work sometimes. And so I
Yeah.
love that idea of asking them that because then they can be their own pattern interrupt and go, oh, halfway through,
Yeah.
maybe I should listen to my own wisdom there.
Yes.
So,
And I don't,
yeah,
let me say though, too, I don't judge it because I didn't either.
exactly.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I talk about you're becoming conscious that you're unconscious in that moment. And then when you
Mm-hmm.
hear yourself, it's like, there you are. That's your conscious inner wisdom. And, then I'll check back a few days or a week later, like, how are you doing? Are you, whatever words they used, are you being the wise Michelle today? And they're like, you bet I am.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, and it's
Yeah.
helping that fast because it's there.
I love that. That's
Yeah.
so cool. Okay, so one of the things I love is just kind of like a rebellious idea.
Okay.
So, what is like a belief or an approach you use that you think totally goes against the grain of like self-help or
Hmm.
healing? Is there something you do that's just like that's pretty far out there? That's pretty different from what everyone else does.
That's a good question. Let me ponder that a minute. I know what came up for me, but if you're a therapist, it's not that out there. But I'll say it maybe anyway. I think it kind of fits a little bit. So, paradox, the inverse of what you're focused on is something to focus on. If what you want is abundance, get comfortable with not having anything
Hmm.
and comfortable in your own skin. The paradox is the more you're comfortable with the opposite of what you're looking for, the more you relax and don't resist what you want because you're comfortable with the opposite of it.
Ooh,
And you
that's
can do
good.
that. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can do it in a moment too of like someone will say something and it's meant to be very serious. And instead of taking it serious, I'll turn it into humor. So they laugh at
Yeah.
themselves about how serious they're being so they can relax and not
Mm.
take it so serious. And then guess what? The serious part of it surfaces without the rigidity. Do you know what I mean?
Ooh, that's beautiful. Yeah, that was a good one. I'm like, always trust the first thing that comes up because even if it's like totally known in your world, I think a lot of the self-help world, they're going to go, oh, I want abundance. So the only thing I can think about is abundance. The only thing, my singular mindset is abundance. And you're saying, actually, it's not that you want to focus on not being abundant. You want to be comfortable with not.
What you have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What if you're enough right as you are? Part two, get aligned. What are you good at? Don't be
Hmm.
doing stuff that makes you wild that you're not really enjoying.
Yeah,
Do what
exactly.
feels good. And so I had to laugh at myself because, in my shift to entrepreneurialness, writing books and doing all these other fun things and integrating all of that, I did let go of being a therapist for a while. And then I was
Mm,
like, I wonder what else I should do. And I started pondering just like crazy things like, why would I even be thinking about that? I don't know. I'm just like exploring. And then all of a sudden it was like meeting with myself and letting it get clear. And it's like, go back to being a therapist. Like you could start doing that and immediately. That is a
mm.
great idea. And I love it and I'm good at it.
Yeah,
So We don't always hear ourselves till we listen.
We don't. Okay. Are you ready for a lightning round? I'm going to ask you some
Yeah,
really, really
let's
quick
do it.
questions and we'll just like boom, 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 boom.
Okay.
Okay. What is one thing you do every single day that helps you keep energetically clear?
Meditation.
Mm. Okay. This is going to roll off that. I think people imagine somebody like you spending a lot of time meditating, but what does a fun night on like a fun night look like for you? You're going to do something and you're like, I'm going to have so much fun. That looks like what?
Probably taking the boat out on the water with either a close friend and going for a cruise and bringing some beverages and food
Mm.
along and just floating out on the river.
What does a hell yes feel like in your body?
It feels like electricity that goes from the bottom to the top, like, woo!
Mm. What does a nope feel like? Like, no.
No.
What does, okay. What do you think one unconscious system looks like that if people in general change this one unconscious pattern would change the most?
Learn
People
to
in
pay
general.
attention to your breath.
Mm.
Breathe.
Okay, last one. What's a life decision you made that made other people say you are crazy, but turned out to be your most aligned move?
That's probably moving to the boat. Could be a 5-month journey that resulted in writing a book series. I don't know where
Mm.
that came from, but yeah, the boat comes with, right? 6 months on the water and 6 months of unknown on a regular basis.
I'll bet.
So
Wow. What do you do in those unknown times? So you spend 6 months on the boat, and then what did you do during your last unknown times, I guess? Maybe you don't know the
last,
next one.
yeah, I know. I'm on the next one right now, so I'm gonna go there
Okay.
instead. So I've got some marketing events, and then I'm traveling with friends, and then a conference, and then hanging out with my brother. That's a month-long bunch of fun things. And then I'm moving back to Minnesota. I have an Airbnb that's a brain home, like
Mm,
neurologically designed for well-being in
love
the third
that.
story of a 19th century home. And I'm going to spend my off season there
That's cool. And then probably back to the boat for
and
sometime
then
next
back
year.
to the boat for 6 months. Yep.
Oh, wow. I love that.
Yeah.
So what led you to deciding to do such an unconventional style of living?
Well, I didn't know that in the summer of 2023, that my career would be concluding, that my marriage would be concluding, and that I would not be living in my home anymore. I did not see that all lining up exactly then.
Wasn't
So
on
when
your
that,
bingo card. It was just like,
I was like, really? Okay, here we go. Transition. So I didn't have a place to stay in the off season. So I was
mhm.
already on the boat. Fine, I can do that. But then I planned 5 months of traveling. And each month I would go stay with another friend or family member and just explore and do some contract work and like figure out like who am I and what are my next steps.
Mm,
And that worked out so well that I'm like, well, let's just do that again and see what happens. So then we did year two, and I did do some traveling last year. And I have a friend with an aunt in her 80s that has a carriage house, a 2 bedroom, 2 bathroom, empty garage. She invited me to use her 2 bedroom, bathroom garage for the off season last year. So
mhm.
I had a place to write my book.
Love
So
that.
things just fall into place. And for right now, it's working.
Mm,
But that's how it started, where I'm not ready to know where I want my roots to be, other than my boat.
I love that. It's kind of like the idea that you are your roots. You're home wherever
Yeah.
you are, right?
Yes.
Love that. Love that.
Yes.
Okay.
And
You
can I
have,
add,
yes, please do.
and you take them with you in your travels. And so
Yes.
then you notice, like, who are you there and there and there and there and there? Like, the who you are shows up when you're out of your patterns.
Mm, that's so cool. Well, and living that way, I imagine it's harder to get stuck in a routine of we wake up, we do this, we do that, like because at some point like more quickly than other people, you're going to be like your home base is going to be somewhere else. The interactions you have
Yeah.
with people are going to be someone else. Like all of those things are like much quicker pattern interrupts to a life of consciousness. So I find it to be just a really cool, brilliant thing to live as a home in a different style. Like I have a couple of clients that are doing that, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there is something brilliant about living that way that
Yeah.
people don't understand. They all want to put down their roots. And I'm like, yes, my roots are here.
Yeah. Me
Mm,
too.
yeah.
Yeah.
So if you had one more message for our audience, what would it be?
I would say to people that you can do it. Whatever it is that you want to do in your life for yourself or with your life, you can do it. And really just finding that inner voice so you can determine what it is you want is the first step. But from there, you can do anything you set your heart to.
I love that. Michelle, where can people find you?
I think the best place is on Linktree. You know how to get
Mm,
to that? Yeah, HTTPS link / Michelle Wincell OLeary. All my podcasts and all the connections to my social media are all in one place right there.
beautiful thing.
So
We'll
that's
get
probably
that
the
linked
easiest.
below so then you can
Yeah.
follow all of her things. Tell us the names. Tell us your book. What's your book title?
Yeah, it's right behind me. It's called Resilience, and it's from Flow in the Present series. So it's in a series of 11 books, and
Mm,
each book is a layer of energy that I kind of went through from the first to the 11th in the process over the last few decades, starting with resilience. So from survival mode to into thriving mode, and sort of how to adapt and feel empowered in your moments of your life, wherever you are, to kind of move out of survival and into thriving. That is the Book of Resilience, which I teach as a course virtually online. And it's
mm,
called Your Energy, Your Way. So there's no right way or wrong way to do things. It's knowing how it works for you and what aligns for you. And then I can fill in lots of tips and tools and ideas along the way.
mm. Doing what is right for you. I think isn't that the path? That's the higher way to look at things. You know, there's a lot of people out there that are like, here's the one way. If you follow A, B, C, D, then it looks exactly like this for you. And I'm like, it looks like that for you, but it might look like something else for somebody else. And that's why I like getting into intuition and really finding
Yes.
your voice is so important. So I love the work you do. You guys can find Michelle in all of her things in the link tree below. So, and the book Resilience, I invite you to go get the book Resilience. So, if she feels like the next person to connect with for you, you can find her there and on BetterHelp. So that's pretty
Yep.
exciting too. So I loved having you here today. Thank you so much for your time. As always, do not shrink, don't settle, stay ridiculously you. And I've been Julie May. We'll talk to you guys
Thank you,
later.
Julie.
Share the spark, take it higher. Hit subscribe, bring a friend. Let the wildness never end. Tap in, stand true. This is your crew.